Gentlemen and ladies, hello and welcome to the 48th episode of the Hardly Millennial podcast, where we are young, dumb, and full of
opinions.
With you today, once again, is Adam and Matthew.
Hey.
Matthew, how was meeting Kyle yesterday?
Oh, man, Kyle was great, dude.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome, isn't he?
Oh, well, I mean, I've known Kyle for a while through social media and through you. And I've had some interactions, online with him, and he's always been fantastic. Mm-hmm. Like, probably the number one fan of the show.
Yes.
Maybe definitely a contender for first place. But yeah, I got to meet him face to face, man. And dude, Kyle's fucking hilarious.
He's a cool guy, man.
It's cool because he's funny, but he's also super smart.
Oh yeah, he's
so
very smart.
You kind of get both of those, and sometimes you don't know when he's fucking with you. And yeah, it's a good time. We had a blast, me and Kyle.
Yeah, he's. I listened back to your guys' podcast.
What'd you think, man?
Oh, it was great. I thought you guys were awesome together.
Yeah, thank you.
But anyways, so good. I'm glad you liked Kyle. You guys will be seeing more of him. Hopefully we'll have the 3 Men podcast and get him on there someday.
He is welcome at my table any day.
So we. It's been kind of a long day. We finished shooting the footage for the second update.
Oh,
today,
man, we
ladies
did,
and gentlemen.
guys. We shot for a moment. We shot pretty much all day long.
Pretty much all day, yeah.
What'd
it was
you say?
good though.
It was a solid couple of hours for sure.
We got some good footage out of it though.
Oh man, I'm not sure what Adam's gonna do with it all yet. In case any of you guys have never shot any kind of footage before for any kind of media project, you shoot probably 4 to 10 times as much footage as you're actually going to use.
Yeah.
So probably 80 or more % of everything you shoot, you never even see in the final product.
Yep.
And Adam has quite the smorgasbord of good takes to pick from here.
I sure do. I'm excited to go through it. And
I'm excited, and it's a little heartbreaking to see when certain moments don't make it in, but secretly me and Adam get to see all the footage.
It's true.
So yeah.
It's
not too bad.
It's always so funny when you're editing because you always get... Because when you're shooting, you'll always have these shots and everything where you're like, oh, this was great. This was the one. This is what we're going to put in there. We're going to use this for this.
Yeah.
And then when you actually get to the point of editing, especially when you do the stuff like what we do here, you kind of start a theme. And then once you start
There's
theme...
a feeling you have to stick to.
Yeah, you have to stick to
right.
it. And then you find that there are jokes that were super funny when you were making them in the moment, and maybe watching them just at face value they are, but they just don't fit into the flow of the scene.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times too, because the shooting isn't all done in one day. At least in our case.
Yeah.
I'm sure in many cases it is. But in our
Although
case...
our first update was.
The first update was. That was one continuous shoot for the whole thing. But this one... Oh, excuse me. This one we shot over, 2 or 3 days? I think it took us 2 days to do this one.
I think cumulatively
3 days.
It was 4 days, actually.
4 days, actually.
Because I think we did 3 days for the
1,
initial
2,
shots,
3.
and then today we did all of the...
That's right.
Yeah.
We did the extra... Okay. So it was four consecutive days split up. So there's a lot that goes into that, man. And you forget, the next day, you kind of forget the highlight moments of the day before.
Yeah.
So every day gets its own sort of mood to it. Mm-hmm. And then as the editor, you have to mush all those moods together into a big one. But it's intense because Adam still has to live in his room, guys. And so there's 3 things that have been going on for the last week. There's Adam living in his room. There's the podcast. And then there's also been, we have to move everything around to turn the set for the update. Yeah. So it's constantly just, okay, shoot for a couple hours. Now make sure you take those clothes off and put them to the side because they have to look the same way for the next day because you can't just change your clothes every day, guys.
Right.
Make sure that you're shaved at the same
the same
level every day. You got to shower right before. There's consistencies that you have to stick to.
Continuity.
Yeah. Otherwise it looks really goofy. And I don't know, it's things that I never thought about that I can only imagine if it's like that on our level.
Right.
I can only imagine what it's like on an actual like Hollywood movie set, like fucking Titanic or something, dude.
It gets crazy.
Super intense, nonstop.
Well, the way that they're able to manage them on those big sets, and I think I mentioned this off mic at one point, but like I was talking about if you have two separate departments, like the art department and the grip and electric department.
Yeah.
You know, and if there's a chair in the middle on set and it's in the way, but the chair belongs to the art department,
right?
The grip and electric team are not allowed to touch that chair.
You can't just move the chair to the side.
Yeah.
You have to. Yeah.
You have to call somebody from that department.
Things
to come
like
get
that
it.
help. It's almost kind of like the military in its own little way.
Yeah.
In the organization essence of it.
Yeah.
There's a chain of command, and there is certain departments.
Well, and the reason why it's able to work that way, too, is because in Los Angeles or in California in general, it's a union state. So they're able to unionize these departments. So there's different umbrella corporations that like have their different testing systems to get into it and get certified. And then once you're in it, you know, it's all those different departments and companies working together, you know, but they're working together but apart.
Yep. Separate but equal? No. That's not the right way to use that. But anyway, moral of the story, guys, we have officially finished shooting the update.
Just editing it.
Is in the editing process, folks. So that's exciting.
It's coming to you soon.
Should have it before the 1st.
So a quick update on something we've talked about a couple times on here is the Jussie Smollett. Smollett situation.
Smollett?
I don't know. I've actually never looked up how it's pronounced.
It's our show. We can call it whatever we want.
What the fuck we
you all
want.
know what we're talking about.
And so
what's new in this? I haven't read about it. You were telling me you had something ready.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, you guys should know at this point. This is the guy who, you know, hoaxed the attack supposedly on him, and it was supposed to go to court.
The racial attack.
The guy, the gay black guy from the show Empire. And so the case was completely just like they dropped all charges, right?
Right.
So I guess it started with the Chicago police were upset with them dropping the charges on Jussie.
Right.
So they were planning on protests, and they took to Twitter first to be like, hey, like, this is wrong. This is, you know, you're making a mockery of the Chicago the police department.
Clearly.
You know?
Okay.
And I guess that got the attention of Trump.
Daddy T?
Daddy T.
Oh, no.
So Trump also tweeted something in regards to getting the FBI involved to re-examine this investigation to the Jussie Smollett case. So, but then there's gray areas with that too, because in order for the FBI to even be able to investigate it, there has to be a federal law that's broken,
right?
You know, not just a state law,
right? They're not his personal guard.
Yeah,
they can't just go investigate what he tells them to investigate.
Exactly.
Right? Or can they?
Well, I don't know. There's talks about.
I don't know.
They said they were asking one of the. Because they also want to get the Department of Justice involved, also. I believe.
DOJ.
Yeah, the DOJ.
Ooh.
And I guess in order they. What's the word I'm looking for? Journalists. Journalists were trying to ask questions to. It was either members in the FBI or members in the DOJ about investigating this case further, and they were making a comment. And usually when somebody says no comment, that means there's something.
That means they got tons of comments that they
Yeah.
can't say.
Exactly.
That's what that means. Uh-oh.
So.
All right, so you don't think we've seen the end of this?
I don't think we've seen the end of it. And they actually, because we talked about last time about double jeopardy, right? So can they take them back to court and everything for something?
You can't accuse someone of the same crime they've been acquitted of.
Right, or you can't put them through trial again for the same crime.
Right.
But
you can change the wording a little.
Well, you can change the wording, but I was reading up and I didn't actually know this. The case actually never went to trial. At all. It was literally just the case was dropped.
Oh, well, then they can reopen the case.
Yeah, exactly.
They can totally reopen it.
They just dropped him of old charges.
Better watch out.
So there's controversy now in regards to like the lawyer too that was representing Smollett being like in cahoots with somebody else or taking bribes or doing something like that. But this article was going through the different, you know, between the line loopholes that they could possibly find to say, hey, this is a federal case that we need to open and investigate.
Right.
But as far as like them going to be able to do any of that kind of stuff, I have no idea what's going to happen. But
man,
it's interesting that it's reached that level. But I mean, at one point, it seems like it's petty, to get involved in something, for like the president to get involved with something like that. But then on the other hand, it's like, can you let somebody get away with doing something like that?
So look, I think that we might be going a little bit overboard with the amount of justice we are seeking for this situation.
Yes.
And I think that the reason that it might be going a little overboard is because the particular topic that this situation is about, racial tension, is super, super duper chic right now. It's like the number one top issue. That and immigration, right? Those are like the two biggest issues in the country.
Right.
So where the actual crime, what was really actually done, the actions of this man were, he hired two guys to kick his ass and then went and told the police that they kicked his ass, is ultimately the actual actions that happened.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really it. So the only person who was really hurt in any way, shape, or form was the perpetrator, who tried to say he was the victim.
Right.
Okay. So honestly, if you take the fact, if he wouldn't have said they were white, if you took the racial part completely out of all of this, and he just went to the police and said, two guys kicked my ass, and he lied about that, no one would give any shits at all. That's really, honestly, not a very big deal.
True.
Who cares? If you want to hire everyone gets off in different ways. Who cares what you hire people to do?
Right.
The only thing that people are what makes all of this even an issue at all is that he tried to accuse a different race of doing it. He brought the race card into it, right? So who are we to pick and choose that if we're super into the issue that someone is brought to trial for, they get grilled way harder than if the same thing would have happened 10 years ago when we didn't care so much about these issues.
Right.
His actions would have gone totally unnoticed. He really didn't do anything that terrible.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's all it is I worry that as time goes on, if different things become a really big issue, let's say that we're running out of centipedes on Earth, and everyone gets really into centipedes, the insects, and then someone steps on a centipede.
Right.
Like, are we going to crucify the guy because it's about the issue that's so dear to us at the moment?
Right.
The judicial system is still the same either way. Look at the actual actions he did and judge him on those.
Right.
Does he deserve to go to prison for multiple years for this? In my opinion, that's a little bit harsh for what was actually done. What do you think?
Well, I'm not saying so like I agree with you on the sense of like I don't think he should go to prison for years and years and years for this. But I do not like the idea that we live in a country where you can put on such a hoax and then have it not even go to court, It's like it would have been one thing if it went to court and he was found not guilty and then people were in an uproar about it, right? At that point I'd be like, okay, well, like it went through the court system, let bygones be bygones at this point. But the fact that it happened and something's going on behind the scenes where charges were just dropped against him. And I think it's more so that it's just a guy that hoaxed an attack. It's the fact that a celebrity hoaxed an attack.
Absolutely.
And it's giving this precedence of, oh, well, as long as you're rich and you're famous and you're popular and you have the money, then you can get out of anything.
I agree.
If you let something like that just go by the wayside and just let it happen, well, you've now set the standard now, like officially.
Right. But again, so I totally see where you're coming from on this, that as a person who is a celebrity or anyone who is has a very big name for themselves and a following, there's a certain responsibility that comes with that because you are setting standards for society. Right? I get that. But in no way, shape, or form do I personally believe, or do I think that the law is written that if you have a higher following or name for yourself, you should be more openly attacked than other people in the same situation. So, for instance, it didn't really come out exactly how I was trying there, but if I kick someone's door down and steal their television from their living room, and Bill Gates does the same thing, or Leonardo DiCaprio, my boy, or someone with a big following, does the same, kicks someone's door down, steals their TV, and runs away. I know in reality it won't happen, but I think we should get the same amount of time for doing that. We should. If I get a 6-month sentence for doing that, so should Bill Gates if he does it. It shouldn't be that because this guy's Jussie Smollett that he is. The law hits him harder than it would anyone else. So that's not right.
Well, and I agree with you. I don't think the law should hit him harder, but it goes back to the point of the law didn't hit him at all. If this was just a young black man who was a nobody and he staged an attack, and the cops found out that this attack that it could even be a racial attack, right? Supposed racial attack. But if he put on this hoax and got caught for it, and goes to jail or whatnot, or gets whatever sentencing for it, then now all of a sudden you have somebody like Jussie Smollett who does it and doesn't get that same kind of thing. But
I mean, all he did was lie. That's really the only rule that he broke.
Well, it's true, and I don't know the exact wording, but it is against the law to
falsify a charge,
right?
Kind
exactly.
of thing. I get that, and that's what he should be reprimanded for.
But I guess the issue is this is such a rare instance also. So maybe a young black man who's a nobody who makes some racial hoax, attack hoax, hate crime. That's what I was looking for. If he fakes a hate crime, well, we don't. Maybe he would have gone off too. Maybe charges would have been dropped against him also. But the problem is we don't have any previous examples to pull from to say, oh, this is how this kind of situation is treated.
I mean, ultimately, I totally agree. I do agree that there needs to be some amount of justice in the whole thing because you can't just give off the example to everyone that it's okay to do this.
Right.
You know what I mean? But just be careful with how much example you make. Put yourself in his shoes as much as possible and say, what if that was me who had a weird day and fucked up really, really badly?
Right.
How much do I deserve to go down for that? He's already gotten a huge effect on his following. It's probably affected his career. So... And also, I would feel a lot differently about all this if it was like he faked his house getting burned down, or he faked someone getting lynched, or he faked like an actual irreversible amount of damage. If that was done, then I would say he needs to pay for that. He needs to pay for hurting someone.
Right.
But really, he got fucking kicked and punched. He got his ass kicked.
True.
And then he went and he lied about who did it. And I don't know. I get it, people. I'm on your side. Just try to take a step back and remember, how badly do we really need to hit this guy?
Well, so then
that's all I'm saying.
So do you think then with the recent development of charges being dropped against him completely, do you think we should just move on from this, or do you think this is something that we should revisit?
I think the healthiest thing for everyone, honestly, would be to move on from it.
Yeah.
Do I think that's what's going to happen? Absolutely not. I think that we will untie the rope.
Yeah.
So we need to see the end of this just as a society. It's like you said, we haven't really exactly seen this before. So we need to understand the boundaries and what we're allowed to do and not.
Right.
So I accept that's what's going to happen, but I definitely think in this instance, the healthiest thing for society to do is say, look, shame on you. If you really want to punish him, stop watching his show.
Right.
And let's go to the next one, guys. I just don't think that we nailed it out of the ballpark on this one. This was like a 2-hit run at the most.
And one thing that does bother me also is, and who knows, maybe Trump's tweet was more so just to give the Chicago police a little more of a push forward, because they do want to protest this ruling, right? Or I guess it's not a ruling, but. So maybe that was the whole purpose of it, and maybe that's
I think he should probably be like fined. There. He should get a good healthy fine. Make him do some community service. Right. Probably the thing that would chap his ass the worst is to make him take some like cultural appropriation classes.
Yeah.
Make him go through one of those with 15 white dudes who dropped the N-bomb at work, and now they have to go through that class. Make that guy take the exact same class.
Yeah.
There you go. You fucked around. You had an off moment that involved race. Now go take a class and learn about it.
Yeah.
And
go from
personally,
there.
I would probably not. I would forgive, but maybe not forget. But if he was made to take 12 hours of classes and he went and did it and got his little certificate,
right?
I'll keep watching his show. Let's just fucking move on, guys.
Well, either way, Jussie Smollett, I'm sure after all of this, is just sitting there going like, God, I was such an idiot.
He is. He is. I truly think it was a lapse of judgment.
Yeah,
it really was. It was in my opinion, I can't prove this. I think it was a couple of guys sitting around bullshitting, maybe over some beers, saying, "Dude, if we fucking did this, your viewership would go up through the roof. Think of all the people who would hear your name." And just a bad judgment of, "Oh, let's fucking do it." And, they didn't get away with it. So.
Oh, Jussie Smollett. You crazy man. What a time to be alive. One thing that bothers me about the whole Jussie Smollett, not even the Smollett situation in general, but more so of Trump's calling to it, is because just as you said a couple minutes ago, this is something that I think we're going to be seeing through to the end, regardless of where it goes. And just as you said, set a bar, know where the boundaries are. But I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of other important things happening in the world, and everybody's just going to be reporting on what the fuck Jussie Smollett is doing. Yeah.
Well, the thing is,
that's what I don't like.
If the news could turn this into the new age O.J. Simpson trial. Yeah. If the news could turn into that, they would sell so much commercial time.
Yes.
Because everyone would tune in to see if OJ's going to get away with it again. Except it's not OJ. It's just a cliche moment of it's another race who would be getting away with something. The news is disgusting, and they would totally spin that. So, they would love to keep this whole thing going, get as many politicians involved as possible, blow it up, and then put all their reporters on it, dude, and have America tune in.
And that would be what America became, where the politicians and the celebrities are fucking start clashing. Oh,
dude.
And
I was pretty young, so I mean, we were both pretty young for O.J. Simpson. But you remember it? You remember the whole fucking ordeal?
No, I actually don't.
No.
Yeah, I know my parents were watching it and stuff, but I mean, it wasn't until I was older, until I was like, oh, that happened when I was 7.
Right.
Whatever, but
it was a big deal, man.
Yeah.
It was a really, really big deal.
Oh yeah. And he's in prison now, isn't he, O.J. Simpson, for something else?
Not for that trial, and I don't know.
Not for that.
I don't know if he's in prison. But I think he was later brought back to court for other things.
Did you know O.J. Simpson was supposed to be the Terminator?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so he was actually set to be the Terminator, instead of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
The Juice was going to be the Terminator?
The Juice was going to be the Terminator, dude. Yeah. And he had already at this point done a couple movie roles. My dad actually owns one of the movies that he really likes. It's called, I think it's called Hangar 18 or something like that. But anyways, he started to break out into acting. And then right before they were going to start doing shooting on Terminator, that's when the whole O.J. Simpson trials happened, and he was convicted for murder, and so then we got Arnold. We got Arnie.
Arnold. Well, I would just be very, very disappointed in everyone, quite frankly, if we tried to turn this into the next O.J. Simpson thing. Because nothing even close to murder happened, guys.
Yeah.
calm down. Calm down. Take your shoes off. Sit down. Relax.
Well,
it's not like it was that time.
And it's interesting that, so like you just sat there and you were like, guys, calm down. It's not that big a video. And what I think is interesting about that is I think that's how a lot of people are like treating this, is like, oh, everyone needs to stop overreacting about this. But really, just in my observations through the different social media platforms I'm on, surprisingly, this isn't anything that I feel like your regular Joe Schmoes are really caring about at all. Even like there's, you have some Twitter people who are commenting about it a lot and stuff. But for the most part, it really feels like it's just the media pushing it and saying like, this is happening. Whereas I think most people like you and I are just like, well, whatever, it sucks that it happened. It sucks that we've reached this point, but
I mean, honestly, it's just an ultimate case of like, shame on him. Shame on you. That was shitty. Mm-hmm. But like, we're not going to put you in jail for it. No. Go keep making your show. He's worth a lot more to everyone making the show than he is in behind bars, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I think
so. Don't do that.
I think there's no point now. I think Empire's basically done. They've plummeted so much in ratings since this whole situation now, which really sucks.
See, I think in that case, sorry to cut you off. I think in that case, the show Empire should be able to sue him for slander. I think even though he didn't directly slander the name Empire, he slandered his own name, and he was such a big part of the name Empire that I think it should be indirect.
Well, I actually do agree with you, and I was just going to say that it's such a shame because you have one of these actors that does something stupid like this.
It fucks everyone up.
Yeah, it's like you don't understand.
They were all making money.
Yeah, we're not just talking about the millionaire actors who are actually acting in the show.
A lot of people behind the scenes.
Yeah,
too,
you're talking about the directors. You're talking about the producers, all the grips, the art departments, the PAs.
They've already made contracts with the studios for multiple years. They already have. It's a huge endeavor that just goes belly up.
Yeah.
And I agree that it should still go belly up. It's a capitalist system. If people don't want to watch it, it shouldn't be subsidized in any way.
Right.
But they should totally have the power to sue the shit out of him and get their fucking money back that they paid him.
I agree.
Because we're not paying you to destroy our show. We're paying you to make the show better.
Yeah.
If I owned Empire, I would be pissed. Yeah. Because they had a good thing going, dude. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think that's totally wrong to say that one person can just upend a whole company.
No, I agree. Well, a whole show. Like
right, a whole show. Yeah.
I do agree with you full-heartedly. I think he should absolutely be able to. You should be able to sue him for slander when you're that big and you have that big of an impact on a show that you were on by making a stupid decision. Well, it's like, okay, well, you just fucked over everybody with their jobs. So,
but we kind of visited this with I forget which movie it was, but recently it was the lead actress who didn't want to take any questions from anyone.
Oh, Brie Larson for
right.
Captain Marvel, yeah.
And later on, the movie did well, but at first, immediately, there was a little bit of a backlash against the movie because of the comments the actress made.
Yeah.
So they took a little bit of a personal thing against her and put it onto the whole movie.
Right.
At least at first. Later on, it ended up doing really well. Mm-hmm. And we kind of visited that on the podcast at the time, where I asked, can they sue her? Mm-hmm. And at least at that level of what she had done, we kind of came to the agreement that no, not really.
Well, I think the only time being able, like in that case, in a case of like indirect slander, I guess you can call it, is instead, like, I feel like a law would have to be broken. So like in the Jussie Smollett case, he broke a law.
That's a good distinction.
Which caused, this crash of the show.
Right.
Whereas Brie Larson was just speaking her mind.
She just had an opinion that others didn't believe.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing was, it would have been one thing if Brie Larson was saying like, oh, there's not enough female power in this movie. There needs to be, and that made the sales plummet. Well, now you're directly insulting the movie you were in.
So if they were to sue her because she says, I will only take questions from a multiracial group of people, That's her belief. She didn't break any laws.
Correct.
So if they sue her for that, they are actually discriminating on her.
Yes.
Which they can't do.
And basically, you're helping her case at that point.
Right,
Yeah.
because now you're discriminating. But they wouldn't be discriminating against Smollett because he actually broke a law.
Exactly.
So now it's not discrimination, now it's punishment.
Yes, exactly.
Very good distinction. I'm with you on that.
I think
that's what it would be.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have to, but like I said, obviously that line gets drawn when you're like talking shit about the movie. So I know Shia LaBeouf, when he's pretty vocal.
Mm-hmm.
He's very vocal.
Fantastic actor.
I think he's a fantastic actor also. But have you noticed how you haven't really seen him in anything, as of late?
That is kind of true.
So you want to know when that change happened?
Did he open his mouth a little too much?
A little too much.
Uh-oh.
And it's actually an older movie. I don't think people realize he's been out of the spotlight for so long.
Disturbia or something?
No, Kingdom of Crystal Skull, the Indiana Jones movie.
Oh,
the fourth
yeah.
one they made. Yeah.
Oh, that was the last time I've seen him.
Yeah. So what happened in there, the way I haven't actually seen the interview, I think it got pulled. I don't think you can watch it because it was slander against the movie.
Oh,
whereas
really?
Whereas obviously he played a big part in there. It's a Spielberg movie.
He was pretty much a lead role in that movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Arguably a lead.
And alongside Harrison Ford, one of the big names. And
it was a good movie. I went and saw it in the theater.
Yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was.
It was the cheesiest of the Indianas, but I liked it as the movie.
I would argue Temple of Doom was the cheesiest.
I love Temple of Doom.
But
you shut your mouth when you talk to me.
I'm not saying you can't love it.
I love the Temple of Doom.
It's fucking cheesy.
Cheesy as fuck. Okay, anyway.
But anyways, but I guess when he was on one of the press tours for Kingdom of Crystal Skull, at one point he spoke ill of the movie,
right?
In some way, shape, or form. And there were reports, some article that I read that said that at one point Harrison Ford went up to Shia LaBeouf and was like, "Ooh, no, little boy,
you fucked up."
Yeah, he was like, little boy, you've made it." I think little boy was specifically, it was like something he called him or something.
I would totally see it. I do. I don't know a lot about Shia LaBeouf, but I do know he got really big as I was growing up.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw him come up day one, and I've up until now. Okay.
Even
so we've
Stevens
seen
till
his
now,
whole career, right? And he has always been fantastic. He's up there. I would put him at the same level of any of the greats, honestly, personally, with Leo, with any of them.
Honestly, I would too.
Is
I think he's great.
One of the greatest actors ever.
However, not a dick person, but
exactly, it's a
good
Jim
actor.
Carrey kind of deal. In that. There's so many stories of him being very pompous, so grandiose. He's really fucking good, and he knows he's really fucking good.
Right.
And he wants you to treat him that way. I never met the guy, so I could be totally speaking out of turn here. But I've heard a lot of things like that about Shia.
He's kind of got the Andrew Warhol syndrome, right? So Andrew Warhol was, he was just a very, pompous, I'm an artist in every way, shape, and form kind of guy, right?
Right.
Whereas That's kind of what Shia LaBeouf tries to do. So he had he did this live stream a few years ago where it was him in a theater and he was watching all of his movies from the first one he did up to the last one he did.
Right.
And it was continuous. And the live stream was just a camera on him in this theater, and anybody could walk in at any point and just sit down and watch the movies with him, and but you could see people coming up to him and saying "Hey, pleasure to meet you," and you'd say "Thank you." But it was literally just it ended up being a little over a day.
Oh, wow.
To get through all of his movies of him just sitting there and watching his movies.
Jeez.
And you couldn't even see the movies that were playing, or there wasn't even any list. Just him sitting there.
Wow.
Watching the movies. But so he does shit like that, He was in a music video.
He's kind of indie. I don't know. Indie's the only way I can think of to explain it.
But just as you said, pompous indie, though.
Yes.
I'm such an artiste.
Well, and the issue is that he is. He can back it up, but no one is irreplaceable. Anyone in the world is replaceable.
Yeah.
And he found out that the hard way, I guess. Is kind of what you're saying. He went a little too far. And no, the movie was not the most best received movie in the first place.
No, not
Indiana
at all.
Jones.
But that's why you also never
that's a
saw him
little
in
harsh.
Transformers after. Well, I think actually was Transformers after Kingdom Skull, Crystal Skull,
Pretty sure that was before.
before.
Pretty sure.
Okay, I thought so
sure.
also, but I couldn't remember because maybe the last one he did was like the third because I know he only did the first three.
He's not even in the latest Transformers, is he?
No, like I said, I think he was only in the first three, and then the fourth one.
I think they took Megan Fox out of it too, didn't
they
they?
took both. Well, they took her out of the third one, so
It's not even Transformers anymore.
no. So now Mark Wahlberg's like the main person.
They got
Who's
the
been in
Wallster?
Yeah, he was
Fucking
in like
Wall Street?
Yeah, he was in like the last two.
I love
believe.
Mark Wahlberg.
I love Mark Wahlberg,
You know,
too.
honestly, I'm going to tell you, Adam.
What's up?
I love to hate Mark Wahlberg.
I could see that.
I
get
love to
that.
hate him the same way I love to hate Matt Damon.
You love and hate Matt Damon.
I love to hate Matt Damon.
So I think I understand. I think Mark Wahlberg, but why Matt Damon?
The same reason as Mark Wahlberg. They're just one in a kind to me.
Really?
They just try to be each other, in my opinion. Listen, young, dumb, full of opinions. I understand I am not in the majority here, and I fully accept that, guys. I get it. I'm probably wrong. Just the way I see things. They're both easily mistakenable for each other's kind of roles. You could interchange the two, and they're going to fucking nail it in each other's movies. They both try to be kind of serious, but just can't. They're just not the greatest at it.
Well, I feel like Matt Damon is and the reason why I wouldn't put Matt Damon on with like Mark Wahlberg in that same level is because I feel like Matt Damon is somebody who I think because I do agree with you. I've never seen Matt Damon in a role yet that has really like wowed me, right? You know, I have found him entertaining. Right. He's good at playing the kind of roles that he does, but I also agree interchangeable, right?
He's good at getting the roles he gets.
But I do think that given the right role, if Matt Damon would just accept the right role for him, I do think Matt Damon has the potential to wow us in a performance. Whereas I do not feel Mark Wahlberg has that potential to like really wow you in a performance. Do you see what I mean?
You know, Mark Wahlberg couldn't even do 10 chin-ups. He was on Oprah or something like Oprah or Ellen, one of those. And they brought a chin-up bar out. Yeah, he looks all big and buff and crazy huge, huh? Yeah, he can't even do 10 chin-ups in a row.
I find that really hard to believe.
I know, so did me and my uncle. We were like, whoa.
I mean, even if you... I would have to watch the video because I'm really having a hard time believing that.
I know.
Because I feel like we're gonna have to. I'll have to look it up afterwards.
Yeah, no, he's not as strong as he looks.
Because I feel like even if you were to go your entire like working out career, never doing a pull up or a chin up and just doing whatever
Bro,
free
you
weight
couldn't do
kind
10
of shit.
chin-ups right now.
I could do 10 chin ups.
No, you can't. Not
Absolutely.
in a row. No, you fucking couldn't.
Absolutely, I could.
We are gonna. I have a chin up bar. We're gonna do this after the podcast.
Okay, I'll bet you money.
I will literally bet you any amount of money you want. You can't do 10 full chin ups in a row.
Okay.
That's hard, bro.
Okay.
That's fucking hard to do 10 chin ups.
We'll see.
Okay.
I
can't
promise
wait to see it,
you
folks.
I can.
I'll tell you what, guys. I'll record it. Maybe we'll put it in a vlog one day because Adam's not gonna be able to do it. It sounds really easy, but chin ups are a bitch. So anyway,
they're a bitch, but I still think that.
Is, I don't know. They're not my faves, but I enjoy all of their movies.
Right.
This is why I say I love to hate them.
Right.
Because when I find out that they're in a movie I'm watching, I have that moment of fuck yes, because now I know I can make fun of the rest of the movie. Like it's that kind of thing. I truly get enjoyment out of watching them, just not from their performance.
Right.
I don't know. Ted was a great movie. I fucking love Ted. Hilarious.
But that's how I feel too. And I've like Mark Wahlberg definitely is more hits or more misses than hits for me, right?
For sure.
It's like,
but aren't they both?
Well, but way more Mark Wahlberg to me than Matt Damon.
So Matt Damon was Interstellar, right?
Yeah. Matt Damon was Interstellar.
He was the asshole.
Yeah.
In Interstellar.
Uh-huh.
Totally. I was with the entire movie.
Right.
And then I had the moment. I saw him because they don't tell you right away he's in it.
Right.
You see him, and I had the moment on the couch. I was like, oh, fuck yes, he's in this movie. I'm going to get to make fun of the rest of it. And sure enough, he didn't fail me. It was so mediocrely done. He was such a cliche jerk. Everything he did was so cliche. You saw it coming a mile away. And it's not just, poor scripting, guys. It's not like he was given a bad script. The way he presented the whole thing was just obvious. Super obvious. No anticipation. No leading you or making you want more. No, just he pushed the guy over and ran away. I was like, I'm going to steal your spaceship now. oh, shit, I didn't listen. Now I blew up. Like, love the movie. Just the performance was bleh.
No, and so again, like, so that goes back to the point of
I'm
like...
so harsh. I'm sorry. I'm such a harsh
It's okay.
critic.
You're just full of opinions.
And young and dumb.
But like, because that's one of those roles that I agree with you with, that you could really interchange like Mark Wahlberg for Matt Damon in that role, right? But I personally would still prefer to see Matt Damon in that role than Mark Wahlberg.
You know what? You're right. I'm actually going to agree with you on that.
You know,
I hadn't put that thought together. They could both play the same role, but
you would much rather see Damon over Wahlberg,
see Damon
right?
do it.
Yeah.
Even in Ted, honestly. I'd honestly rather see Damon in
And
Ted.
I think the reason that is because...
He's probably busy making Interstellar.
is because Matt Damon, I feel, has more potential to wow you. And I think every time you see one of his movies, you're like, all right, maybe this is the one.
Whereas Mark, you're like, not going to happen.
You know what you're getting with Mark.
You know what you're getting.
You know? Matt Damon, we always have hope for. You know what?
Okay. Touche, my friend. I think you've defended him well this day.
Thank you.
Mark Wahlberg. or Matt Damon. Defended.
Did you ever see that movie speaking of Mark Wahlberg, did you ever see that movie he was in called The Happening?
It sounds familiar.
It was like an M. Night Shyamalan film. The guy, same guy. I can never
Come again? Give me that one more time, Adam. Give me that one more time.
That's how I always pronounce it, because he has his last name. I just
it
never
sounded
pronounced
like you were
correctly.
speaking tongues, but like whispering it to me.
The director's name is like M. Night Shyamalan or something like that. He has a last name I can never pronounce correctly.
Well, what was the movie about?
But anyways, but the movie is so let me name off some of the movies this guy's done first, because I think you've seen some of them. He did Signs. So Signs. The Sixth.
It's Wahlberg, right?
Yeah. Well, no, Wahlberg didn't do Signs. The director did Signs.
Oh,
is what I'm saying.
Got you.
He also did The Sixth Sense.
Okay.
The I See Dead People movie, right?
Signs guy did The Sixth Sense, really?
You did The Village.
He lost his touch on Signs, I guess.
But so you obviously get a feel of what the kind of movies.
Yeah,
he
gotcha.
right?
He tries to make things you have to go back and watch again.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
So he did this movie called The Happening with Mark Wahlberg, and
regretted it ever since.
I don't think he regretted it, but the plot of the story isn't even important. The point is, it was like a serious role. So they put Mark Wahlberg, and he was like a science teacher, you know, and they were trying to escape this like plague that was making people kill themselves. And
I think I did see this movie.
Yeah, it came out years ago.
I don't remember any of it, but I feel like, yes, I did see this.
But like that was a role where like I was like anxious to see Mark Wahlberg in a more serious-esque kind of role, and I watched it.
Adam?
I was like, oh god, you can't do this, Mark Wahlberg.
No,
it's like don't try.
He's like the biggest A for effort. We just love him so much for the effort. We're like, all right, try again.
You know what movies I really...
And he's pretty beautiful, too. He's a good-looking man.
He's a good-looking man.
Yes.
Movies I do really enjoy watching Mark Wahlberg in are like war movies where he's playing a soldier. I think he plays a soldier very well, and he's done it a few times now.
Do you know one off the top of your head?
You know,
I totally trust you that he did. I'm not trying to like
he's
question
done
you.
One particular, I think he's done a few I know for sure that I've seen that I really like, but the one that I think I can remember the name of is called like Three Kings. I think he did with Ice Cube, and I want to say George Clooney was in it also.
I feel like I remember this movie too.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he did another one that was about like I don't know what you would call it, but like a group of like 12 soldiers, but they're like in a like they're always together.
Like a platoon?
Yeah, like a platoon.
Okay, sure.
And it was about it was like a true story where they basically defended some area and were getting like picked off one by one.
Did he have like a really dramatic dying scene?
No, actually, he survived.
No, he survived?
Yeah, he survived.
Oh, I thought for sure they tried to give him a dramatic, like, my leg got blown off.
Right, no, nothing like that. But but again, he played a soldier in that too. And I would have to say that he's phenomenal at playing a soldier. Every movie I see him in where he plays a soldier, I think that's his calling, to play a soldier.
You know who I really like as a soldier, who's done it a couple times, but is not really known as being a soldier?
Who?
Is Brad Pitt.
So the only one I can think of where he's played a soldier was Inglourious Bastards.
There was also a tank movie that was pretty big. I forget what it's called. Where he was a tank commander.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf was in that movie, wasn't he? I think Shia was in that. That might have been the most recent movie he did. Was LaBeouf in it? I think he was. Yeah.
Was he in it?
I think so.
I think you're right.
I think he was.
Holy shit, I think you're right. I think he totally was in it.
He had a stash or something.
Yeah, I think you're totally right, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that was actually
so Buff
the most
got himself into that one.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that movie was really, it had to have been in the theaters, but I didn't watch it in the theaters.
Yeah, I think that was done by a big director also, but I can't think of who the director was.
It was like a big, lots of big name movie, but it didn't become a big thing.
Yeah, a lot of A-listers.
That just didn't be. But it was a great movie. I remember seeing it. Mm-hmm. But anyway, he plays, Brad Pitt always plays a very like snooty, like almost a cocky kind of soldier, you know, like his Inglourious Bastards role.
Right.
He very much took that same kind of feeling into the tank movie role. I think anyway.
Okay.
I feel that he did. So I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I like the sort of jerk off hero. You know what I mean? The hero who's kind of a dick about it.
Right.
I personally really like that.
I feel ya.
So I think he does a good job of doing that.
Yeah, I feel like there's very few you know what? This goes back to Matt Damon. The war movies made me think about this. One movie I did see Matt Damon in that I thought he did phenomenal in, and he didn't really play a big part either, but he did have a couple key scenes I really liked him in, was Saving Private Ryan. I actually really liked him in Saving Private Ryan.
Was Damon in that?
Yeah, he was Private Ryan. He was the one they were trying to find. He was the one they were trying to save.
He was Private Ryan, wasn't he?
But I remember
How did I forget that?
I don't know. I forgot
because it's him.
Too.
And he's super forgettable.
It's a Spielberg movie.
How the
though.
fuck
It's a
did
Tom
we
Hanks
forget
movie.
Ryan, Private Ryan, from Saving Private Ryan? How the fuck did we forget that? It's the most famous war movie ever made.
I know, and he
managed to be forgotten.
I didn't forget him. I think we just forgot about the movie in general. Because Tom Hanks was in that too. And Tom Hanks isn't forgettable by any means.
Yeah, but if you had brought up Tom Hanks and Soldier, it would have been the first thing I thought of.
I guess touche. But to be fair, we weren't talking about Matt Damon and Soldier. We were talking about Wahlberg and Soldier. But anyways, I just thought he did well in that.
You're like a fucking defense lawyer tonight. You're killing it.
I have my moments. I have my moments. Jussie Smollett, call me. I'll help you out, bro.
Oh. That was...
Or not.
All right. Well, people are going to listen to this.
That's fine. You know what? Make your own opinions, guys. Just make your own opinions. We sure do.
We sure do.
But yeah, I liked Matt Damon in Saving Private Ryan. I thought
that movie was
had
fantastic.
A good one in there. Yeah.
So I remember that was one of the first movies that I saw with surround sound. Back in the day,
that's a fun one.
We didn't used to always have the sound surrounding us. It used to just come out at the front of the TV, and that's it.
The way you said it.
Yeah, it didn't used to surround us in the whole room. And then one day, they made this thing, and it cost like $1,000.
Yeah.
And they're like, here's 84 speakers, and you can pin them all over your fucking room with actual nails and hammers and wood. And once they're up there, you can hear the sound all around you.
Yep.
And we'll call it surround sound. Well, my uncle did this, and he spent like God knows how long setting up his entire living room. They were coming from different directions.
Oh, man.
He had a tape measure out and was like measuring the fucking diameters of the circles and the fuck. Threw Saving Private Ryan on, dude. And there's a scene in the movie where they're in like the blown up town they're gonna have the big fight in. And in the beginning, there's like a tank that's rolling up towards the town, right?
Yeah.
Well, that tank, it like zooms in on it at one point, and it's like just the tracks moving of the tank.
Yeah.
And it literally shook the whole fucking house, Adam. It was amazing.
Gosh.
It was the first time that like the room shook around me because of what was happening on TV. And I thought it was fantastic. This is intense.
Oh my! I feel like I don't see a lot of people with surround sound anymore. Like if you go to somebody's house, like I feel like there was a time you went to somebody's house, and if they were like a little more well off, or sometimes not even, they'd always you'd see some kind of surround sound system, and I feel like I don't see that anymore. I don't walk into houses
I
immediately.
feel like speaker technology has just changed.
Yeah.
And now I feel like it doesn't, there's no choice to not have it be surround sound. I feel like all speakers just make surround sound now.
Well, if the sound's just coming straight from your TV, it's not surround sound.
Well, it is if it bounces it all around. I don't know.
Well, that's not how it works. But
if it bounces it from behind you, then it surrounds you.
No. The whole point of surround sound is the different speakers make different only specific sounds.
Maybe it's because
audible.
it's HD. Maybe we're in the world of HD now, so it doesn't need to be all around you because it's high definition sound.
Because the whole point of surround sound is
makes
like...
no sense to me either.
Well,
how can the definition of sound be high? What the fuck is the definition of sound?
Oh,
I get the definition of picture.
Right.
Totally with you there. Mm-hmm. What are we doing to change the definition of sound?
So I don't know how we're doing it, but I definitely know. I mean, it's the same way if you go back and listen to older music, it's going to sound a lesser quality than if you listen to new music.
I understand the quality. How are we shoving more... Well, in visual, it's pixels. You use pixels, right? So that you're shoving more pixels into it, which makes it go up, right? So
gotcha.
High definition. You're defining high amount. What are you shoving more of into the sound to turn it into high definition sound?
Yeah.
It's just a better quality speaker. There's no high definition.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a way. I know there's.
I know
something.
they call it that. I know I'm not an expert,
but I just have no clue what it is.
I don't either, Adam, and I'm not sure that anybody does. I'm not sure anyone in the world does.
But what I want to say though is I think it's hertz. I think it's how much hertz they're able to pump into like one file of audio. Is what it is.
Like there is actually pixels in audio, but they're just not pixels.
Well, they're called hertz. Yeah.
Oh.
So I think that's
if
what
that's
it
the
is.
case, then I certainly look rather stupid.
But I could be wrong.
I hope you're wrong for my sake.
But I do think
I'm sure they're typing furiously, letting us know right now.
Like, Kyle, let us know. I'm sure you know the answer to this.
Kyle already commented. You don't have to ask him. He knows.
You're right.
I'm sure there's something they're doing to it. Okay.
Yeah.
They paid someone a lot of money to invent it.
Yeah,
so
of course. But
it's always baffled me. High definition. Fuck you. What are you defining?
It's speaking of high definition. Do you remember like the first time your parents got like a high definition TV and you got to see that difference? Like,
so do you mean like a flat TV?
Not like a flat TV, but there was a point where like I specifically remember of like news stations were doing this, right? So first they were releasing movies in high definition, right? You could buy the standard definition or the high definition version.
You mean like
right?
1080p?
Yeah, at the time.
Like 1080?
Yeah, that was
definition?
the highest I think at the time. But you couldn't see the high definition unless you had a TV that was powerful enough to be able to reflect the high definition. So I remember there was a time when like news channels were doing that. So you could watch the standard definition of the news station.
Yes,
and then they had
I remember this. There was an HD channel.
Yeah.
Duplicate channel, but HD.
So
HD. DirecTV and satellite TV did that too.
Yeah.
I remember those days. So the first TVs I remember were the big, heavy-ass tube TVs.
Yeah,
and they had the bulb glass.
Yes.
This was like rounded glass in the
it was
front.
usually like a square,
It was a big square, but then when you looked at it, it wasn't flat glass. It was like bulbed.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
That was years and years and years and years. Then there was a really small time period, maybe a year to 2 years, where the same big-ass bulky TVs, they just flattened the glass on the front of it. So it wasn't a flat, it was a quote-unquote flat screen TV.
Yeah.
But really, it was a big, bulky tube TV, and the glass was flat.
I had one of those too. Yeah.
I remember those. Mm-hmm. Then that was pretty quickly switched out for the, like, entry-level plasmas, the old, like,
LSD, not
LCD.
LCD. There
LCDs and the plasmas. And I remember back then, for a long time, plasmas, you couldn't look at them from the side. It would just look black. You had to look at them straight on for them to work.
Which is always annoying, yeah.
It was just weird. I don't think it's that way anymore.
No, not anymore.
So I remember all that, and I do remember when all the channels were not in HD. So even if you had, like when HDMI cables did come out,
Right.
at first, even if you had that, you weren't getting high definition. Because
Correct.
no one broadcasted in high definition. You had to get a DVD or something, like you said,
Right.
and have that specifically. Then they started broadcasting HD, but it wasn't all the channels.
Right.
And they had specifically like a duplicate channel that would be the HD one.
Well, and then you couldn't even watch the HD unless you had a TV that was capable of
Exactly.
that. Yeah.
You could turn it on, but it wouldn't look any different. It'd be the same thing.
So
Yeah, I remember all that.
So the only reason why I brought it up was just a random memory that came because I remember the day that we got high definition, and of course the second they set it up, I remember we were going back and forth from like one of the HD channels to the standard channel, and it was just like you were just in awe of how good the picture fucking looked.
I think it was the difference of 480 and 1080.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it skipped 720.
And now I think it's just so funny now where you look at like something that's 1080 or just high definition, and we have there's YouTube channels that put out content that are in 4K now.
4K.
And it's just like just mind blowing where we've gotten.
It's 2044.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
It went from 1080 to 202044, something like
just
that.
Jumped right up there.
I don't think that a lot of people can even see it anymore, and I'm sure everyone's gonna argue. No, you can see the difference. You can see.
Well, your eyes.
I don't know, man.
Like one of the things I think is pointless is they've talked about they're gonna come out with 8K TVs, right?
You're not going to see the difference.
One thing that I learned in film school, well, you're correct. You're not going to see the difference because one thing I learned in film school is that our eyes can't see past 5K.
5K is real life.
So 5K is real life. So if you get to 5K, that's it.
So if anything, you're going to diminish the quality as you go higher in quality because our brain is going to see it as foreign. It's going to look weird to our brain.
No, I don't think the quality is going to diminish. I think it's just literally if you look at a 5K TV and then next to it's an 8K TV, I think they're just going to look exactly the same.
You just physically won't be able to see the difference. It's like when you try to go over 60 frames per second.
Right.
There are a few eyeballs out there who can do it, but the human eye just physically can't see 100 frames per second.
Right.
That it's not going to look like anything different than 70.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure that no human can go past like 70 frames per second, dude. You'd have to have a fucking bionic eyeball.
One day.
You're branching into slow motion and shit at that point. When you start to put too many frames into it. Like, no.
Exactly.
So yeah, the technology will certainly surpass our bodies. But I don't even know that you could put a bionic eyeball in and see further. Because I think your brain is the processor. Your brain is the computer that the eyeball or the camera would be attached to.
Right.
So no matter how good your camera is, it can't go faster than your processor on your computer can go.
Well, yes and no. So I think your brain's job when it comes to like looking at stuff is just to say what's the eyeball looking at, right? That's literally what they do. Oh, the eyeball's looking at this. Okay. I think if you did something like a bionic eye, it would work the same way as like, well, a camera lens does.
Right.
So like a camera lens, I can you can be standing across the room. I can focus on you, and then I can zoom in all the way. I mean, I even have a zoom lens where I can zoom in really close on you from very far away.
Right.
But you're still going to get the same kind of like focus quality as you're getting from back there. You're only going to get the same kind of lighting quality that you're getting from back where the camera is.
Right.
So I think if you're able to do it with a camera, you're going to be able to do it with like a bionic eye. It's just your brain's going to process the information differently.
But even if you take it in at an 8K level,
right,
your brain will process it down to 5K. Your brain can't go past that 5K.
Well, there's still only so
Supposedly.
far you can go. But that's the whole point with lenses and the reason why they're curved.
Or maybe it can. I mean, if you could make a lens that is superior to the human eye,
right,
then, I mean, who's to say that the brain doesn't have the capacity to make a better quality image that you see?
Right. Well, and I think
maybe the lens is what's stopping it.
So I think what you would get. So you're talking about like seeing in different definitions, not necessarily seeing something that's far away.
Different
Right.
definitions. So seeing things crisper.
Okay, so
Could your brain make a 10K image if you were capable of intaking 10K through your eyes?
Gotcha. So I don't think, just as you said, I think you'd get to 5K and your brain would be like, nope, can't see past that, right?
Right.
But what I think your brain could do, or what these bionic eyes could do, is the same thing that we get with like what we're able to do with Instagram filters. Is we can take the real image and we can say sharpen it, take down the highlight, up the contrast. And if you up the contrast, you're upping the color of everything. So you can give this kind of illusion of a crisper picture. It's the same thing that happens in editing when you're doing color correction.
You can make it easier for the eye to see what it is.
Yeah.
Yes, I can see that.
You know, but you're right. As far as seeing like past 5K, you're not going to be able to do that. But you can make a picture crisper and more. I mean, some sunglasses do that right now. You know, you can put on sunglasses and it will make the colors more vibrant for you, and they call it seeing in high definition, you know, quote unquote.
Yes.
But
I'm just the reason I was kind of quiet there for a second. I was staring off. You guys can't see our podcast, but I had a little 30-second moment where I was just kind of staring up into the corner, and Adam was kind of looking at me like, what the fuck? So what I'm thinking in my head is I'm trying to equate it to hearing and hearing aids. Okay, so we already have this sense of hearing.
Right.
And we can make an electronic ear, which is a hearing aid, right? It essentially just amplifies everything that's already happening.
I think it's like if you look at it like a microphone, in order to pick up something that might be a little farther away, what do? We turn up the gain. You're going to get a little more fuzziness, but you're going to be able to hear it.
So now they can go a step further with hearing aids, where they can take someone who cannot hear at all.
Yes.
And they can connect the hearing aid, the technology, they can connect that to the actual part of the brain, the tissue of the brain that is for hearing, and that artificial connection will work the same way that neurons would work.
Right.
That a neuro connection would work.
Right.
So we can artificially kind of make a cyborg in that sense. We can take someone who does not have the capability to hear. The wires are broken. We can put an artificial wire and an artificial eardrum and make their ear work. But what we can't do is give them supersonic hearing. The brain will only register as much level of hearing as it is bioengineered to register.
Okay.
It's not like you have Birdman's hearing available in your brain and your ears only soak in so much hearing. You can have the greatest robot ears in the world, and that capacity, the maximum capacity, doesn't change in your brain. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely. So I know where you're coming from, you know, and the reason why I would call that more plausible than like the camera thing is because we do not have, at least I don't think we have, you know, we don't have this technology where maybe on a higher scale of being able to, like, if I'm over here, you know, I can't, you know, point a little satellite at my neighbor's house 3 doors down and be able to catch what they're saying through the wall, you know, right? That technology doesn't exist. But does the technology exist?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So if I was standing outside and I wanted to see what somebody 3-4 houses down was saying inside of their own home, you could point something there and hear it? How so? Yeah. I would figure like walls would like make that harder and shit like that. And
well, they have literally, like you said, it's funny that you even described it as a satellite, because
well, that's
they have
what it is.
literally
it's like
that
a little handheld thing
that will work for commercial use. It will work like across the driveway,
right?
You know what I mean? But on a military level, yeah, they can take that same technology and kick it up to a military grade, and it will work. A mile away, dude.
Well, I mean, then I would argue if that exists, then you could be able to implant that into your ears somehow.
And your brain would be able to register it?
Absolutely. It's the same reason why we're able to register it now through third party of it doing it. So if our brains weren't able to register that sound when we were using this device, we wouldn't have been able to hear it, because all it would do is just transfer the device or the information it's taking in, just like this device does, and just convert it into something your brain can understand, which is what the device does anyway.
And your brain is definitely stronger than any computer we've ever built, by far, light years stronger than any computer.
Correct.
So anything a computer can do, in theory, your brain could do better.
Yeah.
So it almost is like your ears and your eyes are the hardware. And we are kind of limited by the hardware, not the software.
Oh, absolutely.
Not the brain. So maybe it is the eyes and the ears that are limiting us.
I mean, when you think about it, it's kind of weird to think, but like everything we are, our personality, our being, the decisions we make is all just our brain.
Yes.
You know, everything else is just a fucking shell. All people are is their brain.
Literally everything else that is not your brain exists to keep your brain going.
Yes.
Everything else is necessary for your brain. Your brain doesn't really assist anything else. Everything assists your brain. Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Not even your heart. Your heart assists your brain. It's just a pump that gets fresh blood to the brain. Mm-hmm. And your bone, your skeleton, it's just to move your brain around. Yeah, everything 100% is about the brain.
So yeah, if you can make a computer do it, you can probably make your brain do it. It's just the way the information is converted into a way your brain can understand.
You know, I'm going to have to agree with that. I'm going to have to logically, from what I know in life, the information I've gathered, I'm going to have to agree that I think, in theory, you could give someone a bionic eye, and they would be able to see perfect a mile away.
Yeah,
your brain is capable of that.
Mm-hmm. It's just the way they
crazy.
Yeah,
wow, that's amazing.
It's just the way your brain converts the information.
Dude, we're gonna fucking go extinct. Non-cyborgs. Once there starts being cyborgs, dude, the people who don't do it, they're not. It's gonna be natural selection, baby. How could you possibly compete with someone who can see a mile away?
You can't.
It's literally impossible to compete with that. You are now superhuman.
So do you think...
So that is evolution right there.
True. So do you think... I had a really good question and then I fucking lost it.
Non-cyborgs are going to go extinct compared to cyborgs.
Okay, here it is. So I don't know if we've ever talked about this on a podcast before, but I know we've talked about this off mic before, where we've talked about like anytime somebody's tried to create not artificial life as in like a robot, but like, you know, in a test tube, or we've tried to combine animals together. You know how like life always finds a way to be like, nope, can't do that.
Yeah, we've actually talked about that on podcast.
Have we talked about that on podcast?
Yeah, how it won't let it go past a certain point.
So do you think that'll be the same when it comes to like cyborg stuff?
No, because it's not biological, it's technological.
Okay, so you think that mixing the technological with the biological is okay? That's something we can do.
Yes.
But okay, interesting.
Yes.
On a large scale, like, because I'm not just talking about putting implants in your ears.
I don't think that there's a big difference between a cochlear implant and a bionic eyeball.
Right.
I think we've already shown that you could take technology and plug it into the brain, and it will work the same way that a biological component plugged into the brain will work. What's hard is figuring out plugging it in and getting that correct every time over and over, because you can do a lot of damage plugging stuff into the brain willy-nilly.
Right.
But no, we've shown that in theory it can work. You can still propagate. You could still have babies if you had a bionic ear,
right,
or whatever. I think you could even have a bionic penis still have it work. Yeah, it would be fine.
I guess the way that I'm looking at, because what you're describing is like specific cases, right? I guess what I was thinking in my head was much more sci-fi, of like, if we had the technology to make, you know, yourself 50% biological and 50% technological.
Well, do you think that's something? Human beings. At that point, you've now changed all of human beings. I think that over the course of maybe 2 to 3 generations at the most, the non-cyborg people would just slowly be less and less and less. It would literally become natural selection. We've now we've evolved in the sense of, we didn't turn into a new species, but we changed the physical aspect of our current species. And now if you don't have that, you can't compete for resources to survive and thrive. And over time, you'll just be beaten out. That's how nature works. It's natural selection, in my opinion. It's not evolution.
Right.
But no, I think it'd be fine. I think that if we start taking chemicals and putting them together inside of test tubes, and we're able to find the perfect combination of chemicals that starts spontaneous life, if we could put a bunch of heart cells together and get them to spontaneously start beating and then create stuff around that make that kind of thing, I think at that point is where nature won't let it go past a certain point. It will automatically die after a certain amount. Once it gets to a certain level of growth, there will be more mutations than it can handle, and it will die. or it will survive in its life but won't be able to propagate and make babies.
Gotcha.
That's just what life has proven up till now.
Right.
So you can't fuck with biology too much, but you can fuck with technology all you want.
Well, I guess that was my point of just saying you can't fuck with biology too much. So I would feel like if we got to a point where you're able to make 50% of you robot and 50% of you human, I almost feel like at that point your body would start rejecting the artificial parts of you, because I feel like that already happens now. It's such a sketchy thing sometimes to get transplants and such, because sometimes your body will just simply
reject it. So kind of what you're asking, what if they made an antibiotic that was not bacteria? What if it was little microscopic robots, robot submarines, and they went inside you and they cleaned you up and they fought for you, and then you just recycled them naturally in your waste, peed or pooped them out or sneezed them out or whatever. I think in theory that would be fine. I think that you may have some people who
just can't do it.
Just the same way you have people who are allergic to penicillin. Their body just rejects that thing. I think it's the same thing. You'd have people who are allergic to bionics. But I don't know. I can't see anything in theory of why it wouldn't be possible with the amount of knowledge that I have.
Honestly, I can't either. It was just one of those
weirds
things
me out.
of
Personally, it just kind of weirds me out a little bit.
Yeah, well, and it's just one of those things too, where it's just as you've said. We've never really seen it. We have theories about it, but nobody's ever really put into practice. To the extent that we're talking about, at least. Right. But it's just interesting to us how, as you said, biological life always finds a way to make sure artificial stuff does not happen. So it's can you really force it with bionics at that point? Or at some point is your body just nope, this is too much, stop it? Maybe we'll find out one day that you can only go so far.
we are severely out of time here, folks. Yes. But without going too far, I'll just say life doesn't necessarily really want humans to create life. It's shown us this far. It doesn't want us to create.
Touche. We can mutate life.
We can change it. It just doesn't want us to create it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Yeah. We hit a lot of different points on that one, Adam.
We definitely did.
Oh, my.
Whew. All right, guys. We are an hour and we're 11 minutes over today of the podcast time. Good podcast. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Always appreciate our listeners. Remember to follow us on all the social media platforms. As you heard us talk about at the beginning of this, we do have an update coming up soon. We just finished the footage, just in the editing stage. You will get it before April 1st, probably at this point just March 31st, so look out for that. And thank you so much for all the love and support, guys. Matthew, any final thoughts?
You guys are gorgeous and amazing, and just keep being gorgeous and amazing. We'll see you tomorrow, guys.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.